What's going on, everybody? Trying to get this out the way because look, it's funny outside right about now. It's been raining on and off all today and yesterday. It's about to storm, and when I say it's about to storm, it's about to fucking storm. But it is what it is. So let's get straight into this video. One of the main things now, see, y'all remember when I spoke about the Ebola thing and how I was one of the ones that was like, damn, why don't you treat the people who got it, who contracted it? Is that how you say it? Whatever. Who got it over there in, West Africa, treat them, the Americans or whatever, treat them there. And then when they were well enough that it was no longer a threat, then bring them back here and stuff like that. A lot of people felt that way and a lot of people felt differently, but it was all out of fear that what if somehow, regardless of how this virus spreads, because it spreads like a sexually transmitted disease through blood and through, bodily fluids and stuff like that, and, coming in contact with like a person's vomit or something like that. And the symptoms are horrible, okay? And if a virus steady mutates, okay, it never stays the same, all right? And that's one of the main fears about this Ebola virus. We don't know. Like, I was not here for them people coming back until they was clear. And I was not here for, it was just being concerned for the American citizens that was over in West Africa and not really doing anything for the West Africans who were contracting the disease. And, I was like, damn, help them out, so they can get a hold on it and contain it. And sure enough, what I thought was gonna happen, that shit came here. And not because they brought it here. Some guy, I think his name, they call him Mr. Duncan, I believe. He's visit Liberia. Okay, and this goes to show the ignorance, meaning not really ignorance to the fact, like they're ignorant to what's going on, meaning how to really handle and get a hold of it and how to contain it and go about, fixing the situation and, people being on their P's and Q's and, checking things out because stuff is a little bit too lax and ignorant to the fact because they never dealt with anything like this. And he came back from Liberia. I think he was visiting family over there and he didn't tell anybody that. I guess at the airport they do ask you questions. Have you been in contact with anybody that's been suspected of having Ebola or who has Ebola? He lied. He said, he wasn't symptomatic at that time, and he lied. He lied because there's reports saying that he tried to help I think she was like 20 years old, a woman who had the virus, tried to take her to the hospital, but the hospital turned her away. And, he wound up putting her in a taxi, taking her back home, and she later died. So he lied about being in contact with somebody that had Ebola. And so that's probably how he got it. Who knows? Either way, he came back to Dallas. He was in his apartment that he shared with four other people. I think it was four other people. It was four other people. A woman, her nephew, and her kids or something like that. Either way, it's a lot. It's a lot. He got sick, and all of a sudden he started getting these symptoms. When he first came over, he didn't have anything. He goes to the hospital. The woman took him to the hospital. She claims that she told the nurse that was taking care of the stuff that he has been in Liberia. He's been in Liberia, and they just literally just took him and gave him some antibiotics and sent his ass back home. And I was just like, what? I guess somebody got their communication crossed because they didn't relay the whole message that he has been to a West African country. He just literally got back from there. Now he's feeling symptomatic of this and this and this, heavy diarrhea, vomiting, fever, all this stuff. And you're not going to take it seriously enough to actually inquire deeper into it or relay that message to the rest of the medical team that's probably going to be working with him. And they sent his ass back home. So now he done had contact with Other people, okay? Other people that was either on that plane, but then again, he wasn't symptomatic then, and they say the maximum, time that the Ebola shows the symptoms or whatever is for 21 days because it's an NBC news reporter, cameraman. If you look at the Today Show, whatever, they was talking about it today. It's the medical doc. I think her name Dr. Snyder. She over there, her team over there, and their cameraman. He wound up getting contracting Ebola, and they got him quarantined for 21 days, and they're gonna quarantine themselves for 21 days, even though they don't have any symptoms or seem like they have it or got it checked, just for public safety and to put people's minds at ease. They're gonna quarantine themselves for 21 days, and I thought, yeah, you better take precaution because, child, this is scary. This is scary. All right, look, Outbreak. I told y'all Outbreak was on like a few days ago. I ain't got time for this. I ain't got time for it. This man then been in the house, been on a train, probably a bus or whatever. They say he's been in contact or in a, like 100 people or so. And they gotta find this stuff like, oh my God. And then ain't nobody been in his house. They go to, they supposed to go in the house and the apartment and sanitize everything. Go into the apartment, the landlord or the contractor to the building, he's scared to go in there. People scared to go in there. You got two members from the CDC coming up in there. The health officials going in there unprotected. Mind you, the bed, they still got dirty clothes and all the stuff. I'm just like, oh my God, this is such a health hazard. And this is why y'all better make sure y'all got some health insurance. Y'all gotta make sure you wash your hands. You don't need to be touching everybody. You don't need to be putting this on everybody. It irks me because I be seeing this on the train. Like when I see kids just be putting their hands everywhere. They be dropping stuff. Kids literally drop their pacifiers and bottles and the mamas will pick it up and just put it back in their mouth. And I'm just sitting here like, this is public transportation. Keyword public. Germs. And you just one time, I'm not trying to discuss y'all out, but we on the same subject of this Ebola stuff. We finna have a lesson. We finna talk. I'm scared. I'm admit it. I'm scared because I don't do. When you look up the symptoms and I don't do stuff like that. You got to be aware of your surroundings. Period. But I was on the train. This little white boy, no shade, but that's what he was. He was just licking on it's the window, and then it's where the air conditioner come out. Girl, he was just licking on there. I said, no. And the mama wasn't doing nothing. It made my stomach turn so bad. I just said, I'm so glad I didn't eat nothing at that particular time because I probably would have threw up because he was just licking on it. Like, who does that? And the parent don't do shit. And you wonder why these kids fucking sick now. It's some little disease or some little virus going around that's affecting the kids, these school kids, whatever. They find, and then all of a sudden they just get so sick that they're throwing up and they get fevers and they have to go to the hospital. It's too much going on to let your kid be doing some shit like that. Child, monitor your people. Monitor your people and take care of yourself. If you feel like you not yourself or you feel something is wrong, don't hesitate to call the doctor up, urgent care, whatever, tell them what's going on and see if you can come in, ain't nothing wrong with that. Just be aware of your surrounding and be aware of yourself, okay? Take it seriously. This is nothing to play with. You know who needs to be taking shit seriously and who obviously hasn't been taking shit seriously? The fucking Secret Service, okay? And they've been fucking up. Couple of weeks ago, you got the White House jumper, fence jumper. He comes in. He gets past the, on the front line. He gets past the security. Fine. Okay, they put it out there that it was just that. Come to find out, he got deeper into the White House than what we knew. I don't believe the first family was there, but he damn near got to almost up to where the first family lives at. Their living quarters. I'm sitting here like this nigga is literally just taking a fucking tour of the White House inside and ain't nobody doing nothing about it. It took them that long just to apprehend him. And then, I think the head of the Secret Service, either she's the head or the president or whoever, she stepped down. I just feel like everybody needs to be replaced and retrained because there is no reason why this should be happening. I'm like, it feels almost like a setup. Like, are y'all really doing this on purpose? Because something just feels wrong about this whole thing. Like, how are all these incidents happening? Then there was another one that I literally just read about. Some guy who was pretending to be a representative or a state representative or a senator or something from another state actually got backstage pretending to be this senator talking to Barack Obama. Got backstage with Barack Obama at some little conference that they was doing. Secret Service. He went through everything. Like, really? Really? Gotta do better. Gotta do better. You don't know what these... This is not the time for fuck ups. And they've been fucking up majorly. And ain't nobody got time for it. And Boston Herald, newspaper, whatever, they put out the cartoonist there put out this political satire making fun of the fact that the Secret Service is lax and that they got far into the White House. And it's a cartoon of Obama brushing his teeth in the bathroom, and then there's the intruder sitting up in the bathtub taking a bath, and then the bubble saying, "Have you tried the watermelon flavored toothpaste or whatever?" Now it immediately caused controversy right in there because you got a black African American president, and then you talking about some watermelon flavored toothpaste from a white man. And he basically said the newspaper apologized, the cartoonist apologized, said they didn't mean to offend. It was, a lapse of judgment or something like that. Should have thought more. Like, you could have said apple flavor, orange flavor, lemon flavor. Why did it have to be watermelon? Knowing damn well the history of African Americans and watermelon. And the racist and, racial shit that comes with that. That's not no slip of the goddamn tongue or no slip of the pen. You approved that, your boss approved that. Come on now. And no one, you mean to tell me no one on that staff was like, hold up, bruh. You should change that. Just change that one word to apple. You could have just said cinnamon apple. Wouldn't it be my cinnamon apple? You could have did something like that. Watermelon, why did you have to go there? You would have caused, yourself all this bullshit that's going on right now. Like, you don't need that. It's called thinking, and people just don't think, okay? Common sense. But, yeah, whatever. They get that same apology once they get so many people that's going against them and so much controversy against it, so they get that same generic, it was a lapse in judgment, or I didn't mean to offend. Bullshit, you put it out there, you got it approved, so you knew what the fuck you was doing. Stop it. You just wasn't expecting all this blowback to come on to you. Speaking of some other stuff, there was somebody sent me this, and I had synced it on the internet. I don't even know when this happened, but I think I synced it previously, and I just didn't want to talk about it because it was just so stupid, and it just irked my nerves. The dumbness of people today, especially niggas. There's a reason why I say niggas, because that's exactly how it is. I don't give a fuck what color you are. When you do something stupid as shit, you a fucking nigga. When you do something ignorant, you a fucking nigga. Okay? That's how I feel. And these dumb bitches, that's what they are. They ain't men, they ain't boys, they bitches, pussies. 3 of them. Black dudes. They were at this party. They had this rap battle. They lost to this female, 36-year-old female. They got pissed off because they lost to a woman. So what they do? They found her, raped her, sodomized her, beat her ass, shot her, and then set her on fire 3 times. They thought they killed her, but oh no, they didn't kill her. I don't know if she's still alive right now, but hopefully she pulls through. But I know from the last time that I read about it that she was in a hospital and she was in serious, critical condition. That because you lost a fucking rap battle to them, to a woman. You three bitches did all of this over a fucking rap battle. And we still don't know who the fuck you are. Okay, you still lost in life because now you finna lose your life. You going behind jail, and then you going behind bars, and then you got one of them is already a convicted felon for a felony gun charge. You dumb fucks. But the stupidity of this world. And speaking of convictions and jail time and Jacksonville, Florida, the state of Florida, you finally got it right. At least this one time, you know. Michael Dunn, if y'all remember, I think in November 2012, shot. He got into an argument with this teenage boy. I think he was 17 years old, Jordan Davis, African American teen, and his friends. They were at the gas station and they was playing their music. I guess the music was a little bit too loud for Mr. Michael Dunn. He didn't like that gangster rap music. And, he gets into an argument with them over the music being loud. And, he shot Jordan Davis, killed him, and shot into the vehicle and attempted to shoot at the other three friends that was with Jordan. So he had a trial, I think, in either February or March and of this year. Was it 2012 that this shit happened? This is 2014. Either way, the trial was earlier this year. And it was on the heels of the Trayvon Martin thing, and we was all still just over it and wanted something to happen. And he was indicted on 5 charges, but he was only found guilty on 4 of the 5 charges. And those 4 charges were shooting into a vehicle, which carries, I think, up to 15 years in jail, and 3 counts of attempt to second-degree murder. And I think those each carry up to 20, at the minimum, at least 20 years in jail, at the least. Either it's 20 or 15, maybe switch those around. You don't know. I'll look it up later. But either way, he was going to do some time regardless, okay? He wasn't going to get out there. He was going to die in prison regardless. But it was a hung jury on the first-degree murder trial, on first-degree murder count. So they had to retry him. And at the retrial earlier this week, it came back, the verdict came back guilty. And in the state of Florida, under Florida law, you get convicted and found guilty of first-degree murder, you go to jail for life without the possibility of parole. So, you can say justice was served, I guess, and, it's a good thing. Either way, that's what people wanted, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are happy with this verdict, but I'm just saying, still, you lost your life, literally, just because you couldn't just get back in your car and move your car to somewhere else or hurry up and pump your gas and leave because you were just so irked by this music that was being played. That's what your life is worth? Oh, okay. And then you took another one. You took someone else, a child's life. You're a grown-ass man. You live most of yours and you experienced a lot of things already. That was a kid. I don't give a fuck if he was a teen or whatever. That was still a kid that has yet to fully live life. And you took it just over some music. You deserve what you got. So, moving on. Shout out to New York police officer Pedro Serrano. He was called to testify. He was one of the few officers, I guess, who wasn't scared to go up against their own police force. And was like, look, you put me on this stand, I'm going to tell you the truth. We were told, and in the department, told to target, to stop and frisk black males between the ages of 14 and 21. He just basically confirmed what everybody been saying, and we already knew what was happening. And I said, you better speak up. Don't be scared. Don't be muted. If they gonna say some shit, let them say some shit. You tell your truth, because that's what happened. Like we didn't know. It just goes, all this, for what? This racism gotta stop, but it ain't gonna stop. It's gonna keep on going, keep on going. I don't know. One cycle that will never ever be broken. I'm not gonna say it's not ever gonna be broken because we're imperfect human beings and I don't see it dying down soon enough. It may, but you just don't know. Um, on to so now that we got all that out the way, on to some entertainment news. Y'all know I got notes today. I had to take these bitches out while I was at work. Look, girl, I came prepared. You know. If you look at the Real Housewives of New Jersey, I watch it. I've watched from season 1 all the way to this current season right now, and I do review them. You know, I will say that this season, I'm just they got new cast members. Teresa, Judice, and is it Judice? No, Judice. Okay, there you go. I like to say Judice for some reason, but Judice. Her and her husband's still there. You know, you got a couple of original cast members that's still there. Then you got a few more that's new. But this season is really, it kind of lost its luster for me. But I still watch it. And because, you know, it's been some bullshit that's been going on in the past couple of episodes, you know, with a couple of the husbands. Like, he's, that husband, Jim, Amber's husband, he's such a bitch. But, you know, that's not for this video. But, you know, I knew for a fact that Teresa and Joe's situation was going to be their storyline throughout this whole season if they were to come back, because I wasn't even sure that they was going to come back because of what was happening with them in the news. They got indicted on, I think it was like 39 counts of mail fraud, wire fraud, bankruptcy fraud, filling out false information on loan applications, and, you know, evading taxes and shit like that. And then they got charged with two other charges of something, two other counts of something. So therefore, that's 41 charges altogether. And basically, at one point, yeah, that's the bankruptcy fraud. You know, because I remember, like, I think it was doing like the 5th season, either in the end of the 4th season or the 5th season, when, you know, they was talking about them having to file for bankruptcy, and then she trying to claim that they wasn't. And I was like, if y'all filing for bankruptcy, how are you still spending all this money? I know bankruptcy don't mean it, you know, you're broke. It's like different types of it, you know, whichever one you file is to protect your assets, and, you know, so that the you know, protect yourself for what you already got. But they was just spending money and spending money, and Teresa always been that gaudy type of person, and she said that in the first season. You know, that's how she is. She just like to show it off. But we see a different how she's been humbled by all of this shit. Everything that you do in the motherfucking dark, behind closed doors, that shit will come to the light, and everything will fucking catch up to you. You know, and it caught up to them today. Well, yesterday, they went to court and they got sentenced. And, you know, with Joe, because the majority of it was on him, and he faced up to 47 months in prison. That's almost 4 years, right? Yeah, almost 4 years. But what he wound up getting sentenced to 41 months. That's like 3.5 years and some change. And I was like, oops, okay. Then right after that, Teresa, you know, they was talking about, you know, hopefully getting probation for her because they got the 4 daughters. I think the oldest is Legia. She's like 13 years old, and then the youngest is like probably 4 or something like that. I don't know. But I was like, she not getting probation. If they damn near gave Joe the maximum that he could get, they almost gave him that, they're not getting probation. She not getting probation. She finna do some jail time. And sure enough, you know, she was looking at 21 to 27 months in jail. That was like a little over 2 years. And what she wound up getting is 15 months, which is a year and 3 months, you know. And she has to go. She's gonna, at least the judge, she was like, I'm considering giving you this, but then, you know, you got to pay the price for your crime, okay? You knew what you was doing, so therefore you're gonna have to do that time. And you know, she did take into consideration that she got kids, so what she's gonna do is Teresa's going to serve her time first. She goes into prison January 5th. I said, damn, 2 days before my birthday. Well, fuck, at least you get to spend all the major holidays and everything else, one last Christmas and all that stuff that y'all do. One last Thanksgiving and New Year's and shit like that with your family. And then after she finished her time, then they're going to put Joe, he's going to go serve his time. So at least be one parent still with the kids and things like that. I said, okay, that's cool, whatever. And, you know, I don't like to, kick people while they're down, but I don't like to sugarcoat and be like, oh, that's fucked up, that's fucked up. No, it's not fucked up. If you gonna do the fucking crime without, don't ever think that you're gonna get away with a crime. Or like I said, everything that you do in the dark, it's gonna come to the fucking light eventually. I don't care if it takes a week or 10 years. It's gonna come to the light eventually. All right. And if you gonna be stupid enough to think short term and think about getting shit fast and doing all this stuff to benefit yourself and not thinking about everybody else that's in your life who this may affect, if you get caught, then that's on you. You're gonna have to suffer and, pay the consequence. And this is what happens. They got to pay the consequence. I do not feel bad for them. I feel bad for the kids because the kids ain't had nothing to do with it. And therefore, because of their parents' stupid mistake and greediness and dumbness, they got to suffer because one parent going to be out the house and the other. And then, Gia, they growing up. And I'm pretty sure they're in school. And you can't tell me that these kids don't know what's going on. Gia already said she knew what was going on the show. And the classmates that's probably already know what's going on. Parents talk. They hear their mamas and daddies talking about this shit. They got the Twitter and the internet and stuff on their phones and stuff. You can't tell me they ain't look it up. And, kids can be ruthless. Kids can be mean. I'm just sitting here like, you might as well homeschool these kids. It is so sad because by the time Joe get out of jail, Lil Gia gonna be about to graduate from high school. That's messed up. She already 13. Well. Oh well, let that be a lesson to y'all. Like the bitches who tried to file that $94 million tax return, bitch. 94. And where did they pick up the money at? At a store or some shit? Like, girl, really? Really? If you was getting that much money back, why would you come to pick the shit up with fucked up edges? Your dye job was messed up. You look like you look raggedy as fuck. But yet you finna get $94 million. Bitch, are you... You niggas is crazy. Y'all stupid sometimes. Like, girl, what? And really thought that this shit was gonna work. 94 million. I could see if she would have filed for 94,000 or maybe 9,400, but 94 million. I thought that was so fake until I saw it. I said, "Child, niggas are dumb as fuck." But moving on from that, I talked about that. Okay, so the Lil' Kim interview that was on the Breakfast Club. I think she was on there this Monday, and is it me or did Lil' Kim had a lisp? I said, where did that come from? Somebody tell me where that came from because I was just confused. Like, girl, now I know you always had that soft little small voice. Let me tell you something. First time I got introduced to Lil' Kim to her first CD, hardcore, right? My uncle was a Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown fan, so he got me on that shit. But I still prefer Lil' Kim over everybody. But so I was listening to it and I was like, oh, she shit, wanna rumble with the beat. And then when she started talking, the first time I heard her talk, I said, man, fuck, what? How was your voice that small, but when you rap, it's deep as fuck? Like, it just threw me all the way off. But, so I had to get used to her speaking like, damn, bitch, okay. But anyway, I knew it was soft. I just never knew she had a lisp. Or did that just I don't know where it came from. Y'all tell me where that shit came from. But anyway, she's looking better. I just hate the fact that when people speak of Lil Kim, they do speak of her looks and stuff like that. Yeah, she didn't have plastic surgery. Yeah, it ain't the best, but who gives a fuck? Can we talk about, what she's actually doing, with the music or whatever? We get it. We see what it is, okay? Let it the fuck go. Like really? Lil Kim, you need to let some stuff go too. I'm gonna get on you in a minute. But I'm gonna get on that in a minute. So in the interview, she talked about she's still cool with Diddy. She got some stuff going on with Diddy. Um, I found out some stuff. Like, I didn't know how deep the shit was with Nicki. Like, they were actually Nicki using some of her stuff or some of her people. And I was like, what? Okay. This what kind of irked me. I'm like a lot of people, I'm tired of hearing about the Nicki Minaj beef between her, and she want to say Nicki's taking shots at her. Could be subliminal. I'm not gonna say she not, and I'm not gonna say she is. I'm just gonna say I don't care. I really don't. I can't wait till it get to the point where when Lil Kim do an interview, no one brings up Nicki Minaj. They just bring up Lil Kim history with her music and how she set trends, how she is a legend in the rap game, how she is still that bitch. I mean, come on, Kim. She had offers to get on the label, but she may go the independent route. I learned all that from the interview, and like I said, I'm here for the album coming out whenever the fuck that is, bitch. I do got the Hardcore 2014 mixtape. It was cute for what it was, you know. I'm waiting for the album, Kim. Okay, you can get in the after you finish breastfeeding little Royal Rain, you know, get up in that booth and spit a little bar like, damn, my titties sore and all this stuff, yada yada yada. Just do some shit because it is what it is. I'm just waiting for it. I don't want to hear about Nicki when it comes to Lil Kim no more. Okay, Lil Kim, we get it. We know how you feel. It is what it is. That, and I just knew that this was gonna happen because of that, flawless remix. And I'm just sitting here like, girl, we know they called you Queen Bee first. We know all that. You want to rumble with the bee, huh? Throw the hex on the whole family. Okay, we know that. We know that. But Nicki wasn't referring to you. In my opinion, Nicki wasn't referring to Lil Kim at the Queen Bee part because she was talking about Beyonce because that's what the name that, Beyonce did not call herself Queen Bee. The fans gave her that name and then eventually the Beehive formed. That's how it came about. And so she just took it and ran with it. So, it is what it is. Um, that's who I thought Nicki was referring to when I first heard it. Now, if anything, I thought Lil Kim was gonna get pissed off because Nicki said because she's the queen of rap. The queen of rap rapping with Queen Bee. That's what I thought she was gonna be pissed off about. But she said the shit about the Queen Bee. I said, girl, what? Now was she reaching or did y'all agree? Now which one is it? But I don't care. But I'm just like, I had to look up and look. I'm like, girl, I thought she was talking about Beyonce on that line. But I mean, I guess whatever. She feel how she feel. But like I said, I just wanted to get to a point where Nicki don't even have to be brought up. She does say that she has a documentary that's going to explain everything. I mean, as much as we tired of hearing about it, I'm gonna be watching the shit. I'm gonna watch it, of course. I gotta critique and be like, okay, let me take notes. Now I'm tired of you saying this. Oh, I never knew about that. And Fendi said some shit about Nicki. I can trust. I mean, I can believe some shit that he said. I can believe that a little bit, but it do make him come off a little bitter. Okay. But, he telling his truth or what, his truth. But it is what it is. It was a cute interview for what it was. I ain't really had no problem with it. I'm just tired of hearing about Nicki. But, you know, Lil' Kim has the right to feel the way that she feels. Nicki has the right to feel the way that she feels. I'm not finna debate that. The shit that got me was when she was talking about the K. Michelle shit. Because if y'all go back, I think maybe a week or so prior, K. Michelle was on the Breakfast Club. And I forgot to talk all about this shit. And she was talking about, when during the VMAs when Lil' Kim and her had that little Twitter beef a little bit. Because, I guess K. Michelle said that Nicki Minaj was like the queen of rap or whatever, and Kim fans or Kim had something to say, some shit like that, something petty, and they had their little interaction back and forth. And K Michelle was like, you could take you and your 3 fans. I said, see, girl, shush. And I actually liked that K Michelle interview, but she kind of set her up. I just knew this shit. I was waiting for her to strike. And then look, Kim gonna say, I don't even know this girl. I only met her once. Okay, yeah, I did give her my number. We probably text back and forth a few times, but I only met her one. And in the interview, K Michelle did say that Kim was considering letting K Michelle be the godmother of her daughter, and that threw me off too. I said, so you really cool with Kim like that? Of all people, how's she gonna make that? Kim said, girl, please, I don't even know you like that. How the fuck I'm gonna give you? I don't know. She kind of read K Michelle just a little bit. And I don't know. K Michelle just been in a lot of stuff recently. In that same interview, she said something about Soulja Boy doing some interview implying that he could have slept with her or did sleep with her. And, Soulja Boy waited until last week to say some shit about it. I mean, I remember that day. I remember that night very clear because it had me up and I was tired as fuck the very next day because it was just all hilarious to me. Soulja Boy, you don't expect any type of maturity from a person like him. He clapped back on Twitter days later, probably a week later. Well, this was 2 weeks ago, so shit that happened was a week ago, last Monday. Okay, so the interview was 2 weeks ago. He clapped back a week later on Twitter Monday night after the Love and Hip Hop, premiered or came on, and calling her pussy stank, and when she said pussy smell like beef. No lie, I was laughing at both of them, and I was one of the ones that was like, "Bitch, where K Michelle at? Wake her ass up." She was at the Drake concert, and she was like, "I see somebody wants some attention." It was I didn't give a fuck about the whole thing, but it was just all funny to me, and it was all bitch made. It was bitch made. It really was, and people was getting up in their feelings because she called him gay. I mean, he didn't deny it. They trying to say, I don't feel like K Michelle is homophobic. Of course, the transgender community has something to say. Yeah, T.S. Madison saying some stuff. And, I mean, what K Michelle said about Soulja Boy, no lie, is nothing that I haven't heard about him in the first place. So she was just reiterating what she's heard and what a few of us have already heard. Like, I've heard about that that situation with the transgender. I've heard about that. But I mean, yeah, when K Michelle do come at some people, she do call them gay and shit like that. But do I feel like she's homophobic? No. Because there's a lot of people that do shit like that. Like when we get pushed to that limit, look, let me tell you something. I've done that shit in the past. I've done that shit fucking recently. Like when you piss me off to no end, I call you a faggot. I shouldn't say it, but bitch, I will admit that I have said it. It is what it is. Am I homophobic? Hell no, I'm not. You know, can you be homophobic if you're a homosexual, can you be homophobic still? Like, that don't even make sense, but it's just like when black people who are black who can't stand other black people. Like, I just lost myself. But yeah, y'all tell me how y'all feel about that whole thing. And then, Bossa put out this thing about K Michelle and Memphis going to court or whatever. I think they were suing her for defamation of character or suing Mona, VH1 or whatever, when she was talking about him abusing her. Now, people say she lied, and if you would have just read the headline, yeah, it would have seemed like it, because what they said is, oh, she lied about him punching her and lied about the abuse and all that stuff. But if you actually read the whole, she probably lied about that, and she claimed that she don't remember some stuff. But I don't know if you got to take into context if they talking about one particular situation. Well, in that situation, he didn't punch me in my face, but he did drag the fuck out of me. He did choke the fuck out of me. He did put some bruises on my body. That's still abuse, whether he punched her or not. That's still fucking abuse. But maybe on that occasion he didn't punch her. Maybe on another occasion he did. Who's to say? That's a touchy subject. Some people feel like she was lying, and some people, I mean, it was just one incident. that they was talking about in that court deposition that y'all read or probably did not read, and still came out of it that she still had bruises and shit like that. But what got me was when she was like, I couldn't call them text messages or something like that. I said, if somebody threatened me, bitch, I'm finna screenshot that shit. What the fuck you talking? But, do I think that Memphis yes, I do. Yes, I do. I wouldn't put it past him. Yes, I fucking do. And you can't tell nobody that, oh, you want abuse, you want this, you want that. Like, girl, you were not there, so you shut the fuck up. Okay? And it is what it is. That's her truth. I'm going to let that stay right where it was, And it just, that shit started a whole bunch of stuff. Okay? It really did. I had to reread the shit because at first I thought she was lying. I thought it said that she really lied. But when I read the deposition, I'm like, it's talking about a certain situation, a certain incident, and at that point he didn't punch her. But then, like I said, you don't know on other occasions if she did. Like, why would you want to lie about domestic violence and stuff like that? When you have a lot of people that probably look up to you and gravitate towards you because you've been in that situation and you speaking out against it, I don't think she'd be dumb enough to do some shit like that. But then again, who knows? But I just feel like people voicing their opinions on it, like, and being mad at it, just. And I ain't even here for K Michelle like that. So, I mean, right is right, wrong is wrong. You were not there, so how can you judge? I'm just saying. And then what even more solidifies the shit that how I think that he probably did abuse her, the simple fact that this motherfucker gonna say some, oh, I got some tapes, should I leak the tapes or whatever, sex tapes and shit like that. I'm sitting here like, what type of bitch made ass motherfucker do some shit like that? For what? You gonna leak tape just because she said that you whooped her ass? Pussy. Pussy. And people want to go, oh, wait, he ain't do this to Toya, he ain't do that. Well, that could have been a one-time thing. That could have been that one person that just made you want to fuck them up each and every time, and he learned his lesson. And he ain't done shit to her. Well, we don't fucking know what's going on in their relationship. We don't know. People can put on motherfucking fronts. Okay, look, I'm done with that. We gonna move on because that was old. Chris Brown versus TMZ. He called Harvey Levin, the dude that owns TMZ, head of TMZ, face of TMZ. The devil. For the simple fact that he was like, he's always fucking with him. Always fucking with him and always got something negative to say. Now, Chris Brown was at a club. He was with Karuchi. That's his boo thing. Everybody knows this. A fan or whoever the fuck it was. You was a disrespectful ass bitch for doing what you was doing. He is there with his woman right there on his arm and you're going to reach over and try to kiss him on the mouth. And he pushed her ass away. Oh, he wrong for doing that. He this and that. You damn right I'm going to push this bitch out my face. You don't know what the fuck she got. That's some disrespectful ass shit. And now he's in the wrong because he pushed her. Oh, because he Chris Brown and he had that incident with Rihanna. He can't. Did he punch the bitch? Did he slap the bitch? Did he knock her to the ground? No, he pushed her out of his personal space, which she was violating. Okay? I mean, I kind of agree with Chris Brown. Because TMZ, they do the fucking most. They do the fucking most at times. They really do. So, hey, y'all tell me how y'all feel about that. Amanda Bynes, she got arrested for a DUI. They had suspicion that she was under the influence of some drugs and couldn't find out it was Adderall. And I'm just sitting here like, I thought this girl was going on the right path. Thought she got some help and thought she was doing good. She was in went to art school for fashion or whatever, fashion design school, whatever the fuck. And now she got kicked out from that because behavior problems and cheating and all this bullshit. I was just like, I was just rooting for you, Amanda. And we know what you mental. And I just think like she needs to have somebody just watching her. The same shit that they did with Britney Spears. And you see how Britney Spears got back on the good foot. She had a little moment where she just went cuckoo. And then, her father stepped in and, was monitoring her stuff, and she needs somebody like that. And I seen her parents. And her parents are old as fuck, and she just need good people on her team that's not gonna let her just fuck up her life. I'm sad for her. Then we get to an update on Wiz Khalifa and Amber Rose. Girl, they saying that Wiz Khalifa, look, Peter Rosenberg from High 97 basically claims that he's good friends with Amber. Claims that Amber Rose, he knows for a fact that she's never cheated on Wiz, and she's always been all about Wiz. But there have been problems in their marriage. He gave this 8-minute some interview talking about it, saying that basically this is what he talked to Amber about, and said that there was a house that Wiz Khalifa had. And obviously, Amber Rose must have been in there before because she had a key, because she came into that home and caught Wiz Khalifa in the bed with twins, identical twin sisters. And they supposed to be some fashion designer's name, I think, Jazz and Ness. And I'm sitting here like, I'm sorry, but I'm not so surprised. But it disgusts me that it's twin sisters. I mean, I can see two regular bitches, but twin sisters. No, y'all tell me how y'all feel about it. I don't know. It still sounds sketchy, but then again, like the whole cheating rumors and cheating shit, I can believe it. You know? Y'all tell me how y'all feel about that. One thing that caught me off guard, remember, is it Cooking with the Neelys or whatever on the Cooking Network or whatever? The black couple, they divorcing. Come to find out, they claim that they couldn't stand each other ever since that show started. Before the show started, they were having troubles. And I guess because they was contractually tied to the show, whatever, they didn't know it was going to get picked up and all that stuff. That's why they still stayed together and they doing all this stuff. And now they just said, fuck it. They got restaurants with each other. I said, oh my God. I did not see that shit coming because, like I said, looks can be deceiving. You never know what goes on behind scenes. They show us one face on the TV, but behind scenes, they cussing each other out. And that's exactly how it was. I feel bad for that because I liked them. I really did. Y'all notice I say this for the last of the entertainment news. This Aretha, because I talked about it in another one. Aretha Franklin was on the David Letterman's, what is it, late night show or late tonight, whatever, fuck, David Letterman show. And she was singing Rolling in the Deep by Adele. First of all, somebody on my Facebook, I ain't trying to shade them, I ain't trying to embarrass them, but somebody said, so you mean to tell me Adele stole Rolling in the Deep from Aretha Franklin? I said, what? I said, what? I looked at my computer screen like, did they really just? No shade to you if you watch it, but still, I was just confused. Like, seriously? No, she was doing covers, a cover of Rolling in the Deep because that's what she's doing on her new album, covering some songs or whatever. And first of all, I don't like neither version, but the album version sound so much better than that live version that she did on David Letterman. I don't know who dresses her. Look, we could say somebody needs to tell Aretha and get in there and style her better and tell her, baby, you too old and your boobs too saggy and your skin and all that stuff. You just need to cover up. You can't tell me that they haven't told her this. Aretha Franklin is an old woman set in her age, and she's set in her own ways. And she's going to do whatever the fuck she wants to do. So those are her decisions. And she's going to come out there with everything flapping and everything sagging and hanging and not give two fucks about it. I say, well, more power to you because Ashley would not do it. I don't, I'm a big bitch. Okay, and I would prefer to keep a jacket on. I don't like tank tops. Hell no. I don't want to put my arms out there. Big arms, like, bitch, please. But more power to those who can rock that shit. But Ashley just don't feel comfortable enough doing that. Okay, no, I keep that shit covered. Okay, there are some things that you can and cannot do, and that's one thing that Ashley cannot and will not do. Okay, I know my limits, but Aretha just said, "Fuck y'all, I'm doing what I gotta do," and everybody else, who else said fuck y'all? No, who really said fuck everybody? Cissy Houston. Cissy was in that background right behind Aretha. It should have been called the Cissy and Aretha singing Rolling in the Deep. Cissy must have She didn't go to any rehearsals. She forgot all about them because she forgot every word. She was miming whatever words that she knew come to her mind. You couldn't tell me. She was just back there like, what the fuck? I don't know this goddamn song. Why am I still out? The looks. I said this is where Whitney got it from. Whitney got these shady looks from her. Girl, at one point, Cissy looked over at the other girl that was next to her and was like, I said, roll them eyes, bitch. It was so fucking funny. I couldn't even be mad. It was just so funny, the whole thing. Everybody making these memes about it. It was just, it made me happy. I don't know why. It came at the right time because, this week was my aunt's birthday or whatever who passed away, and it was just like, oh. So I needed something to laugh, and that just came at the right time. It came at the right time, made me happy. But anyway, moving on. Talk about some shows. Oh my God, Blackish. That is my show. I spoke about it last week when it first came on, but this week, the episode was hilarious. I mean, I was laughing from the beginning to the damn end, all because Anthony Anderson walked in on his son jerking off. It was so fucking funny. I haven't either. Out of all the 2 episodes that it came on, that was the best fucking episode. It's only been on for 2 weeks, and that shit just had me. I hope the momentum just keeps going like that because that had me rolling. And then the little kids, I want to talk. I want to talk. Let's go sit in the room and behind the closed doors and get to talk and all this stuff. I was like, if they ain't never lied. Little kids all up in your business, don't know what the fucking flavor is, and just nosy as fuck, and want to put their opinions in. Like, girl, we ain't talking about this. You don't have no clue what we're talking about. Hush. That was just so cute and so funny to me. Sons of Anarchy. I knew Tig was gonna cross that line one day or another with the transvestite, the transgender girl. Girl, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. And that's all that I'm saying on that one. Gotham. I forgot to mention this, but Gotham and Red Band Society, those are 2 shows that I actually watch now, and I love them. Like Red Band Society, it's cute. Kids living in a hospital, who had, these life-threatening illnesses. Some of them life-threatening, and some of them they may heal from or whatever. It's a cute little teen show. I like it. Gotham, is taking on the modern day approach of the retelling of Batman and Bruce Wayne and all that stuff. And Jada Pinkett, oh, she's a bad bitch up in that one. I said yes. At first, I was like, how many times they gonna redo Batman? I'm not here for it, but I just took a chance and I watched it, and I was like, the script is good, the acting is good. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna give this a chance. Sleepy Hollow, get into that. That's good. Blacklist, oh boy. Scandal, bitch. What happened on Scandal? First of all, the first episode, Olivia was getting finger fucked in the first minute. Not even a minute into it. The second episode, her and Jake talking about booty calls. I was like, first of all, y'all too old to be talking about booty calls and shit. Stop it. But Cyrus trying to blackmail Olivia to be back on the White House staff. They trying to say that Millie is crazy. Millie ain't crazy. She's just depressed, and everybody grieves differently. And she's in this high position, being the wife of the president, and she can't grieve properly. And without people saying stuff, and that's what's irking me about. Look, I never could stand Millie. Now I feel nothing but pain and sorrow for her because I understand. I understand. Look, that scene when Abby tried to give Millie that speech, like Olivia be giving people speeches and shit, and convinced Millie to just, when she said kids die, I said, hold up, Abby, you crossing the line. But she cleared that shit up. She straightened up. I believe Millie kind of shaved that bush down there, threw on a dress. She took a shower and went to that little thing that Fitz had, that dinner, whatever, that he had to talk about the gun control and stuff like that. And, she pulled it together and she went. And when she left, when she went into that room, she fucking broke. And I understood how she felt. Because look, when my uncle died, I tried to keep that shit inside. Why did I try to go to work the very next day? I went to work. I was fine. I don't know what happened, but next thing you know, a bitch is in work crying in front of my boss, the one that I cannot stand. All right? And she's going to say some of this. Are you all right? Bitch, I'm crying. I'm crying. Do it look like I'm all right? Like, I broke. I was embarrassed as fuck, too. I was embarrassed to come back to work the next day. I was just like, oh, please. I'm going to try to avoid her the whole time because I don't like that sensitivity shit. And it just caught me so off guard. So I got where Millie was coming from. She needed that release. That scene with Huck and Quinn, I was so glad that couple, the lady in a wheelchair, stabbed her husband in the leg because when Huck and Quinn was going through their little talking at that point about their relationship, you could tell me because the breathing started getting so heavy, like they was getting turned on by this. They get turned on by violence from each other. They was about to do it right then and there, or they was about to kiss. And I said, "Thank God you stabbed that lady. Stabbed her husband in his leg." And because I was not ready to see that, not this season. It's too soon. It's too soon. Give it to us in episode 10, 15. Not in episode 2. It's a little bit too soon for me. But Cyrus getting set up by Ellen's wife. And, with the male prostitute, because I was like, oh, look, Cyrus always attracting these young boys. But come to find out, he's like, look, prostitute, escort, trying to set his ass up. He gonna say something. Yeah, he lonely. I said, oops, okay. But that was just the highlights of Scandal for me. Y'all tell me how y'all felt, which parts y'all liked the best or whatever. It was cool for what it was. How to Get Away with Murder. Boy. I had to rewatch it because last night it was messing up because of the storm that was out here. I rewatched that shit at work today and I just said, child. And Elise think her husband is the killer of that college girl that was his student, trying to get help from her boyfriend. And, that was one thing. And the case that they had in this one was about this man who was accused of killing his wife. Come to find out, he killed his first wife. Because he's a hunter, and the way that he killed her was the way that you would kill and hunt an animal. And then come to find out, he wasn't the one that killed his first wife. Well, he admitted on the stand. The way that they proved him not guilty of or getting a hung jury or a retrial or getting a trial, a mistrial, was by him admitting that he did kill his first wife. And when she asked him that, he said that shit with no hesitation. I said, damn, okay. And by realizing, that it was the daughter who found out how really her mother died, who actually killed the stepmama. I said, look at this shit. It was crazy. Then you got Lil West, the black boy, and the white girl in his apartment. She getting charged, getting caught by the police. At first, she coming up into his house, leaving stuff up in his house. And, at the beginning of the episode, they go back to before, I guess, they burnt the body or whatever. And, it was West's idea, I guess, to kill dude. We really don't know why what happened to the professor's husband happened yet. But it has something to do with that girl, Rebecca, that lives in West's building. And eventually they going to hook up from what we saw. Because he was doing all of this for her. I'm just sitting here like, what? And then the other boy got a boyfriend now. I said, look at this shit. It was too good. It was good. What else happened? That's just the gist of it. I didn't want this video to be real long, because I don't feel like splitting it up. But, yeah. If I missed something, y'all tell me what it is, and I'll talk about it. If it's something that I should be watching, I'll try to look at it. The Bad Girls Club shit comes on next week, I believe. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it to see how it is, and I may or may not review it, but 9 out of 10, I'm gonna review it, but it is what it is. Yeah, enjoy your weekend. It's gonna be cold out here in Chicago, so y'all have fun. Be safe. Peace. Stop it.